We are two men in a Bible.
I think that's 5 or 10 million.
Well, not 3 million, 5
No,
or 10. Oh,
uh,
the number of people?
that are listening to us.
Okay, to
Yeah,
two men?
2 men
Yeah, something like that.
and the
Yeah.
Bible.
Is it worldwide?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're working on the 330 million that America has here.
In
But
fact, I think China has even required their people to listen to our show
I
now.
think it's
Yeah.
it's come
Yeah.
to
Because
that.
you can do that in a dictatorship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is what we're all for. Ha ha. Well, anyway, I'm Jeff and I'm Joel.
Oh
I,
no,
I'm
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 Joel.
Jeff and you're Joel.
Yeah,
Okay, we got
you're
off to.
Jeff. I'm Joel.
We're going to start this, believe it or not. We're going to talk about Democrats and Republicans. Can you believe that?
Oh,
But in the
Jeff is the
context,
Democrat, the token
yes,
Democrat here.
yep,
I'm the token
yep,
Republican.
I'm guilty. I'm the Democrat. But what we're going to talk about is in the context of Christianity with a specific angle. So it's not that broad of a topic. It has to do with the question that Joel had, which is we all thought it was a good question. Do you notice that the Democrats wish the Republicans would vote their way?
Democrat Christians.
Yes, we're talking in the context of Christians who are
Christians.
Democrats and Christians
Democrat
who are
Christians.
Republicans.
And there, folks, we need to say this. There are such a thing as Democrat Christians. There are such a thing
There
as
are?
there are such a thing as Republican Christians.
Yeah,
And so we need to help people see that we
yeah,
see that. We
yes,
even though we truly are mostly
yeah,
Republican, we're more. Well, I would classify both of us as independents, but we lean quite a bit
yeah.
towards the Republican platform. But I would suggest, though, that I have heard from many friends who are Democrats. Joel, how could you possibly vote Republican?
Republican. Yeah,
You can't vote Republican. I mean, they just don't stand
yeah,
for anything
yeah,
Christian.
yeah.
And and then we hear from Republicans saying, "How could you possibly vote for anything Democrat?"
So
Because
what's the reason? What's the reason that a Republican, let's start there, would say, how can you possibly vote Democrat for Christian reasons? Now, remember, our box here is within Christianity today.
I, I believe this is just Joel now. So you got
Just Joel.
just
Just
Joel.
Joel.
Yeah, you. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, is what I'm trying to say.
I can speak
Yeah, but
for
I'm not going
3
to.
million people.
And I do all the time, folks. But in this moment, I can't speak for other people. I can just speak for myself. I believe that you shouldn't be voting Democrat because their policies are non-Christian policies. Now, what are those policies I'm referring to? I'm referring to maybe one or two or three different ones. One of them, of course, is what some people would call murder. Excuse me, what some people would call abortion. I've Jeff. I shared this with him earlier, yesterday or today. I can't remember. That I'm going to call it from now on. Um, Now I got to think of what the word is.
Yeah, you had a great word
Uh,
earlier. Something about a
it's
contract? Or
it's a
no?
contractual murder. Number
Yeah,
one, premeditated. It's
premeditated. Yeah.
premeditated contractual murder is what abortion
Mhm.
is, and let's call it what it is, folks. And
Yeah.
so what I'm trying to say to you is that why would we vote for someone who is promoting that as their platform?
Okay, can I step in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna just challenge that a little bit right now. Okay, I'm the Democrat who's voting that way for now. And I'm saying, well, Joel, I agree with you on the abortion issue, and I'm sorry that it takes place. And I'm actually opposed to it. I fight within my own party against that. But when you look at the whole list of what they believe, their philosophy, I could never be a Republican because their policies, plural, is a whole list of things. And I agree with 80% of that list. So therefore, I vote Democrat. Whereas with the Republican platform, I only agree with 20% of their policies. So what do you say to that? That's their answer to that.
Okay. And I think probably what we would have to do is actually go down the list. I mean, I think we would have to put together a list of what each
Well, we could do
each
that.
party,
So another thing would be, let's go to border security, for example.
right?
The Democrat is going to say, I'm for open borders because I love my neighbor. And I'm not racist. I'm not discriminatory. So I think we should just let people come in. Okay. Or something on that order.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Pick your topic. I believe in welfare. I believe that the government is the only institution around that has enough money and access to money to be able to take care of the poor.
And
You know,
I believe just the exact opposite is that if people were allowed to give, they should be allowed to give as a voluntary transaction. I believe that God's word teaches us that
yeah.
we are to be people who do take care of the poor. And that is one of our
And
responsibilities as Christians is
and
to take care of the poor. And it becomes a voluntary scenario, which therefore it makes it so that you want to give rather
right.
than you're forced to
and
give.
and you're debating the issue, which is good, but in answer to that question, that is a big part of the answer. I think is that the Democrat is going to say it's because I do believe in border security differently than you do. I believe in helping the poor differently, that it should be through the government. And we can debate that, and I would too. I'd be with you, but that's their answer. That's why they can vote for abortion, even if a Christian, because I think a lot of Christian Democrats are pro life. Although I think that's changing too. And part of the reason it's changing, and I believe that there's even Christian, just look at the churches. We have
Well, I
very
was a
large,
member of the ELCA
yeah.
church.
So
I guess I still
that's
am
just one of many,
legally.
but around here, the ELC is one of the largest. And look at what
And
they're
they're in
doing.
favor of abortions.
They're pushing abortion. They're not ashamed of it anymore. They should be, but they've totally shifted the conversation to the rights of the woman, the rights of the mother.
And
You know,
should it be a right of the mother to premeditate murder?
no, but according to a Democrat philosophy nowadays, yes. The older Democrats probably not. So flip that. Now let's ask, why would a Democrat say, you know, ask the Republican?
And I don't know the answer because I can't
Okay,
even imagine
I
it.
think, well, I think, you know, we, the Republican, in terms of the platform, believes more in the free market, that it should be people to people interactions that are driving the decisions of our culture, not only in the economy, but socially as well. And, the further you go down that path, I guess some of them, it drops off into more of a libertarian view, probably when you get really into the social aspect. But when you just stay with the Republican aspect of freedom, um, you would not see the government, for example, as the avenue for our economy to get better, to have workforce development, to take care of the poor, invest. And the problem with the Republicans is that they believe in corporate welfare, and so that leads the Democrat to see them as evil. I kind of agree with the Democrats on that. I don't agree with corporate welfare
I
either,
don't either.
but you know, but I do believe in the free market. And so those two things get confused. And what the Democrat sees, and this is why they ask that question, is that they see capitalism as evil. They see capitalism as the greedy business owner who's taking advantage of the poor. And that's because you see that the
Which is
Democrats
not right.
the Democrats have been influenced by Marxism. And the Marxist ideology always has class warfare. That's embedded. I mean, that's a core of Marxism, is you have to have an oppressor and somebody who's oppressed. And that's, you know, in terms of the poor, it's in terms of women versus men, it's in terms of race. The whole race baiting and the whole race fight is all about, you know, okay, who's the oppressor? Who and who's being oppressed here? And they've actually by now they've even have an order. And you know, who is the most oppressor, who is the least oppressor, and everybody in between, and they've got this scale. And I can't remember what they call that. It actually has a word.
Interesting.
Is that critical race theory? I can't remember. Anyway, it's so if you're a woman, you're here. If you're a black woman, you're here. If you're a black man, you're here. If you're Hispanic, you're there. If you're homosexual, you're here. If you're trans, I don't know exactly the order, but they're ordering it now. You have more privilege. That's Marxist ideology, basically, and it's affecting our education system, our healthcare system, for sure, our economy. So if you're in that world, the capitalist, born out of what America was built on, who came up with that?
Mm-hmm.
White males.
Sure.
So you and I, Joel, in that scale,
The worst.
we're the worst oppressor of all just by being white.
Sure.
Okay. So when you're thinking out of that model, while they are wrong, you can at least understand why they think the way they think
Sure.
and why capitalism would be horrible to
Plus,
them.
they've been told it and told
And
it and told it and
and then the
told it.
public school doesn't help out because they don't teach true free economy anymore. They teach this Marxist ideology. They teach that the government is the way. Colleges, you're taught. I remember Charlie Kirk asking questions on campus if in their economy classes do they ever read books like from Adam Smith, who was the big founding at our country, his book on Wealth of Nations, and Milton Friedman, more of a lot of these names that I can't remember right now, of famous, supply side Austrian economic people who really were the masters of creating the most free and the most real economy. By real, I mean real value. The free market finds the real value of everything, whether it's buying a cell phone or a house. You
Right.
it's gonna because it's millions of people interacting with that business and determining what they want, as opposed to 435 bureaucrats in Washington,
Deciding
deciding, every
what we should do.
couple years. Yeah.
Plus, deciding to give to a nation, give to this nation,
Yeah.
give to that nation, give to this leader, give to that leader.
So you've identified abortion, which I think is really, especially for the Democrats now, that along with the rainbow movement is probably the biggest driver of, people. Why would anybody vote for Kamala? That's a good question. That's what's driving it right there, in my opinion. And what's driving it the other way is anti-capitalism. For the Democrat, why they are so opposed to the Republican Party right now is
Well, what's interesting to me is this anti-capitalism idea um, is the desire to get rid of all the mom and pop shops and turn it into
yeah. Oh, sure.
just Walmart.
The whole corporate
well,
world. Yes.
If there was a desire in the country right now from all humans, if you wish, it would be that there's only one company that sells everything, and
Yes.
that's the company of Walmart, or we'll
Yeah.
just use them as
Yeah.
an example. Or when it comes to grain hauling, it's just CHS that's just going to take
Yeah.
over the grain
Yeah.
industry. Well, who's going to take over the beet industry? Well, just Crystal
Well,
Sugars,
take meat
you-
meat processing plants.
Tyson Foods, we'll say.
Well,
We'll
they've
just
gone from what, over 800 to down to like 8.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you
My
can
my
blame for that.
brother, what? Yeah, my. But they blame
It's the
the cap.
Republicans.
Yeah, they blame the Republic. I
Well,
agree.
and the Republicans are at fault because they've bought into corporate welfare.
That's correct.
And that's why these big corporations are becoming so woke.
And I also think it is the fault of the Republicans as to
Yeah. Because
how that
they
happened.
abandoned their platform,
Yep.
really. Yeah.
They abandoned the mom and pop shop people.
Yeah.
They went with, and in fairness to all of these companies, the larger you get, the the cheaper you can sell something, if you wish, except that the larger you get, the more you take over. Now, all of a sudden, you can increase those
Well, but
prices.
here's the problem. You can't get large without the help of the government. And so, for
That's true.
example, let's just take a real simple one. Let's say that your town, Park River, wants to bring Target into your town. They just think that'd be the coolest thing. They'd employ people. It'd be the
Yep.
greatest thing. So your city, instead of letting the free market do that,
Yeah.
they say, well, let's give them 10 years off on property tax.
Right.
Incentivize them to come
They're
on in. We'll
and
build
they're
their parking lot for them, whatever. Did they do that for the local bakery, the
no,
local
they didn't.
cafe, the
No, they
local
didn't.
hardware store down the road?
Well,
No.
we did that in Park River by bringing in. I'm going to say this. We brought in Dollar General with that same idea in
That's
mind.
a small example of
And
how it
I
works.
and I thought in that year, in that particular year, I believe Dollar General built 500 stores
And that's corporate welfare. If the
in
government,
America, and
yeah,
every town did the same thing. They brought in them and gave them these 5 or 10 year free tax scenario,
right,
and they did all
yeah,
this to bring them in. They built roads for them. They gave them the property for hardly anything.
hmm
They didn't do that for anybody else in
So
town.
bye-bye to the mom and pop shop
Yep.
because they're not getting the goodies from the
Right.
government.
And
But
then Dollar General gets to sell it for a lot cheaper
yeah,
because they got all these freebies, if you wish. I was so angry when they brought in
well,
that.
that's why there's one phrase that you have to remember, folks. The government picks winners and losers. And in this example, they picked Dollar General.
As their winner.
Yep. There's anytime you pick a winner, there is always a loser. So the next time you have the government tell you this would be a great investment for our
We
county,
actually
our city.
we actually had people, every single every single item that is sold in Dollar General was already being sold in Park River.
Yeah.
Was already being sold there. And so every single
Yeah.
item, there wasn't a single
Yeah,
item that
sure.
wasn't being sold
Sure.
already in the
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
And their comment was, well, that store is going to close pretty soon
Well,
anyway, so that's no big deal. There's no big loss.
so
We're
what
going to
would have
have,
been the free market response to that? How should have they done it?
they should have paid everything equally.
Or just backed out?
Or yeah, they would have backed out.
Really?
They wouldn't have even come in.
No, I'm talking about the government.
Oh, yeah.
So the city government, all their role is to let them come in
Mm-hmm.
and compete
Yep.
on the same level.
Yep.
So if Dollar General, yeah, if you want to buy this piece of property over here and throw up a store and compete, you're welcome to do that. But no, we're not going to give you property tax break, give you incentives to come in. You have to compete at the same level as
Mhm.
everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's the free market. And then it's the people, again, that decide whether they're going to make it or not. It's really the people. That is the free market. It's the people deciding whether or not this business will make it or that one will. Now, from there, there's more layers to this than that because there is also the
Oh, sure.
morality layer to this as well. If it was a business that was immoral, but then at that point you're still counting on the people. In fact, I remember, Joel, I'll give you a good example in your town when I lived there. When I was youth director, I remember there was a establishment that was going to bring a stripper in.
I stopped them.
Yeah.
I stopped them.
Okay. Well, I remember having a conversation with the city manager, and he told me, he said, Jeff, what actually works better than the city trying to stop it is negative public opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And you were probably a part of that, the negative.
Well, I knew the
But
guy.
yeah,
I talked to him directly.
right. That's the
I
free market.
Yeah, I talked to
You
the
as
guy
a
directly.
citizen, as
Yep.
a friend, talking to the person, you talked them out of it. That's the free market working at its best. The free market's not perfect. It's just one whale of a lot better than the
Right.
government created market. Because the government created market always drives up the prices to an artificially high level. If the government wants to help prescription prices and they get involved in any way, prescription prices are going to go through the roof. If the government wants to create subsidies for tuitions in schools, within a year or two, the tuitions in schools
Oh,
are going to go
they
way
went.
up.
The same thing
And
happened in the medical world.
whatever they want to help, they want to help farmers.
Yep.
This farm program that everybody talks about is so good. If the government is doing it, that's why farmers are paying, literally through the nose where they're actually killing the farms. They're actually hurting the very people that they're trying to help. The free market doesn't do that because the free market keeps people from getting that big. It's the government. If you want to get rid of a monopoly, get the government out of the way because competition, natural free market competition will always keep.
Well, that's what they're doing in the
Yeah.
farming industry,
Yeah.
and what's been happening in the farming industry is all these subsidies that the
Yeah.
farmers get. Um, they are actually helping the rich get richer,
Yeah.
and I'm not. They're not helping the small farmer in any way, shape, or form.
And so what happens when you have a crisis like COVID?
Yep.
Guess who's favored to keep going?
Yeah, the big ones.
Walmart.
Yeah.
We can't let Walmart go down. So let's favor
Well,
them.
the same thing happened with Chrysler.
Yeah.
Chrysler was too big to fail.
GM.
Bank of America was too big to fail.
Right.
When they were in trouble, they had to bail them out. Or what about in California? They had a bank that had multimillionaires in this bank, and the bank failed.
Yeah.
And so, guess what's supposed to happen when that happens? All those people are supposed to lose their money. But nope, the FDIC came in and spared them all because they were high rollers. They
Yeah.
were the people who were billionaires and so on. They had this money in their accounts. The FDIC is only supposed to cover $250,000 of their accounts.
Oh, wow.
And
I
what
did
did
not know that.
What did they do? They paid the whole amount of money out of FDIC insurance. Guess what that does to everybody
gosh.
else? Every single bank now has to pay a larger percent of it's really a tax
Yeah.
to FDIC for their deposits because they covered those monies. And yet, guess what? They still went back to the 250,000 for every other bank.
Sure.
So, how unfair. In other words, the government picked winners and losers.
So, yeah, they pick winners and losers. That's the result. And so, to boil this back to the philosophical differences between a Democrat platform and a Republican, we're not talking about the Democrat person
No, we're not.
or the Republican person. We're talking about the platform differences is really government control versus people control. And what does that look like for
Well, I think-
Republican?
I-
Hang on. It looks like this for Republican. It's lower taxes, lower spending, and lower regulation. That's always the case. And that's what we're not seeing anymore.
Right.
But the true Republican platform lowers those things. And the true Democrat platform always has to increase taxes, increase regulations and control, and all of that. So that's the philosophical difference between the two.
I think part of the problem is that Christians were not giving to the poor.
Right.
They seriously weren't. They
Yeah.
weren't doing their job.
Right.
And we
The
gave our
government
job.
filled in.
Yep, we gave our job to the government. And
So-
and in fairness, I mean, I understand that the government then says, well, somebody's got to take care of the poor, so
Well,
we're going to take care of the
and
poor,
they
and we're
should
going
not
to
have done
force.
that. Yep.
We're going to force you to pay
Yep.
these taxes.
And that question comes up a lot. So to fix this, what has to come first? Do the people have to?
The Bible
change-
has to come
change-
first.
Well, yeah, that's true. But people versus government. Do the people have to act first and start stepping in to take care of this, or does the government have to back out? And as I've thought about this a lot, what has to happen first is the government has to back out.
And they're not going to, though,
That's got to
Jeff.
happen first, right? And they're probably not going to, because then they create a vacuum, and that's the only way that the people, the
Yeah.
churches, et cetera, are going to step back in to run the hospitals and to take care of the poor.
There is a way to stop it, and that's to remove the people who are in office
Yes.
today.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's where
Um,
there is a movement going on. And it's also why when you talk about lowering taxes that cures so much of this, like literally, and the best way to do it, folks, is something that Joel and I have been promoting on our
get
show.
rid of property
We got
tax.
1 minute left. Yes, we're just going to throw it in there. Property tax elimination, which is on the ballot under Measure 4, coming up this.
Vote yes.
Yes, vote yes on it. It's the most fair, and it's the largest. And how will it impact freedom and the economy?
It'll be just huge
boost
for
the
everybody,
economy.
for everyone.
That's the best way to get workforce. It's the best way for businesses like Dollar General or manufacturer like John Deere to come in
Yep.
or whatever, and it will find the prices that are the most fair market value as opposed to these inflated prices, which
And we have
cause inflation.
plenty of tax revenues coming in to cover the things
Yeah.
that need to be covered.
Yeah. So vote yes on 4, everybody. Let's be the most free state in the nation. God bless.